Hi, my name is William.
Hello, my name is Divine Ome. Originally, I'm from Nigeria.
I'm Rachel Lyon and I'm a French student.
And I'm Clotilde and I'm also a French student.
So I'm going to go through a couple questions. The first one is, what have I learned about myself living across different European cities? I've learned that I'm quite adaptable and quite ready and quite quick to jump into those cities.
Currently, I've lived in 4 countries, Paris, and then I moved to Berlin, and then I moved to London, and now I moved to Madrid. I've learned that there's different versions of myself. It's been an exciting discovery because every country has met a different Divine from this one.
I grew up in London and then I moved to Paris. I study now in London.
I've studied in a few different cities in France and then in London as well. It opens your perspectives a lot. You get to meet a lot of different people, so I think it's really enriching.
Do you think the cost of living in a city affects your quality of life? I think 100%, especially at the stage where we're at in our lives. Most of us are students, and as a student, you don't have that much income. So of course, if you're in a country with a high cost of living, it's going to be a struggle to survive.
When you're a student, you don't have that much money, you have your allowance. So there are certain things you can't do. But I also think that there are a lot of stuff that is, especially in Europe, free for students in each city, like museums and activities.
94% say Europe is too expensive, although 91% are saying that they're satisfied with quality of life. Definitely costs are increasing globally. I would go as far to say as many of the cities that ESCP is present in, Paris, for example, London, for example, very expensive cities. So yes, it's going to be difficult to continue a life there, but at the same time, I think quality of life in Europe is super high.
I understand what they're saying because it is quite expensive, especially when maybe you grew up in a different country, like that isn't in Europe, but like they're still satisfied because it has a certain rhythm and energy to it.
Your personal experience and your background has a lot to do with how you perceive life. So for me, I don't think Europe is expensive. I actually think the income is low, but that's another conversation.
What percentage of students do you think said it's easy to meet people? I would say a lot of students think it's easy to meet people. So you're in the same school, you go out in the same places. So it's pretty easy and people are generally, I think, really open, especially European. And how many do you think said romantic relationships are easy?
0%, because romantic relationships are not easy. In your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s. When emotions and feelings get involved, everything gets complicated. So 82% say it's easy to meet people, but only 49% find romantic relationships easy. That's news to me. Of course it's easy to meet people. We're currently at a networking event and you just have to say hello, hi. I think where the struggle is actually nurturing that relationship, keeping contact. So of course, the percentage of people you meet will be higher than the ones you actually connect with and eventually have a romantic relationship.
So if it's so easy to meet people, why is it so hard to create deep relationships? Mostly because meeting people does not always mean getting to know them on a deeper level.
Depending on the city that you live in and depending on how diversity is at play, you can meet people but not really be able to pierce into a group and make strong friendships and relationships. That's very variable to how you are as a person and how you're able to interact. Being open, being honest, and being as accepting as you can is probably the best way to go about things.
Deep relationships are hard because it takes vulnerability, it takes opening up yourself to new experiences and possibility of getting hurt. The study shows that 90% of students want to work in Europe after their studies.
What percentage of students do you think want to start their own company? I think with the ESCP, they do push you to be very into entrepreneurship. So I would say maybe 40% want to start their own company.
Seems about only half of them see themselves starting a business in Europe.
I think it also depends if they have family somewhere else. Since you start your own company, you can choose where you're living. So it's going to be more practical for them if they want to be closer to family or friends.
What do you think discourages students from starting their own business? Starting a business is difficult. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. It's also very scary because what if you get the money from your family and friends and you cannot deliver on the promise? It's much more easier to just find a job, get paid a stable salary and just integrate into regular life.
Well, personally, I'm not discouraged from starting my own business. I just know what I want to work in. And also people sometimes want to rely on the safety of a company, of an income, and all the benefits that come with it.
What would you say is the #1 concern for your generation right now? It would have something to do with artificial intelligence. You don't even know if your future job or the job you want to do is still available.
Humans are just living longer. People are getting older. There's less young people because people are having children later. So young people are carrying more of that burden. Salaries remain stagnant while cost of living tends to increase.
There is this loneliness epidemic that I've noticed, and I think it started during the COVID when everybody started working from home and there was social distancing. And since 2020, 2021, I don't think we ever recovered. So yeah, I feel like it's going to be companionship.
Seems like 67% are quite optimistic about Europe's future, but only around half trust European institutions. Does this number surprise me? Not. Doesn't necessarily surprise me. Times are changing, things are changing, there are more pressures, both economically and conflict-wise.
I'm going to speak for ESCP because that's the only European institution that I've experienced. And I think they're doing a great job. Connecting in a safe, controlled environment is just so nice because it solves the problem of companionship. You get to meet someone who potentially could be your friend, potentially could be your partner. ESCP has done a great job providing companionship for the young people and young students, and shout out to them.
What's one thing Europe does better than anywhere else? I'm going to stay on travel. You can move around very easily, which is something that is unique to Europe.
I do love very much the mix of strong Western values with not being fully always putting work as number one.
I'll say food. They really have some really nice food in Europe. What do you think this survey says about your generation overall? I think it says that we are conscious and we are getting to the root of the problem. We're asking ourselves the real questions.
I think if you were to ask our parents the same survey, I think the answers would be quite similar. But I would say that overall, we clearly are worried about certain things and we clearly have a very difficult time with communication.
I know this is probably more representative of a lot of European students. This represents some apprehension to what the future might look like, but also an acceptance that life is really not that bad when you look around you. And if you think about where we were hundreds of years ago, we're in so much of a better place and we should be thankful and happy for that. And then finally, if success is no longer about money, status, or buying a house, then what does success look like for your generation?
For me, success is peace. It's just being at peace, knowing that you're where you're supposed to be at every given time, being content, being grateful, just looking back at the life you've lived and actually being super proud of how far you've come.
I'd say that success is more about being able to do everything you really wanted to do, but success should really be more than anything about not ending your life regretting the things that you weren't able to do because you just didn't do them, because you weren't bold enough to try and make them happen.
It's a stupid thing to say, but finding happiness. I think finding your place to live is something that's very important nowadays. Being in a good environment, not just doing a job to get the money, but doing a job because it's something you're passionate about, it's in a place that you like, and
being surrounded with people you love.
But yeah, I would say I think it's finding a place that makes you happy and being happy.